A guy named Alexander Shulgin just died at the age of 88, and he is widely considered to be the Godfather of Ecstasy. So I want to give you his story because I read about it today. I found it absolutely fascinating. He's most known not for inventing MDMA, which is ecstasy, but for introducing the drug to West Coast psychotherapists in the late 1970s to aid them in helping with their patients. And what most people don't know about him is that he also created more than 200 psychoactive compounds in his home lab and tested them all on himself and his wife. So he was ride or die. And he wrote about all this in a 1991 book called phenethylamines. I'm so bad at pronouncing shit like this. But it's called Phenethylamines I Have Known and Loved. I'm actually really interested in that book now. I might buy it myself because this really sounds like it's out there and right up my alley. But he actually was kind of skeptical when he saw what happened with ecstasy. So it's known as, a 90s party drug. And he had some sort of quote like, the generation of yahoos has gotten a hold of it and it's not what he wanted. I actually disagree with him on that. I don't, some people, of course, people can abuse any drug, but I have no problem with people using it for party purposes. But yeah, his idea was more for medicinal uses, and that's why he was kind of upset when it was used in that other way. Kind of hypocritical for a guy who was coming up with all these psychedelic compounds and using them on himself to judge other people, but nonetheless, that was his opinion on the matter. So Shulgin kind of became a rogue scientist because his job was at the chemical company Dow. And what happened is they gave him free rein to investigate whatever chemicals he chose because he had invented a hugely profitable pesticide called Zectran. So they said, look, if we give this guy free rein, he might come up with something else that'll make us a shitload of money, so go right ahead. But eventually that stopped after police discovered vast quantities of psychedelics that he created during a raid. And according to Raw Story, quote, it turned out that another less scrupulous chemist had copied it, and the drug, which was the product of legitimate Dow research, had become the source of horror stories in the press. One user reportedly disemboweled himself with a samurai sword. Now, I don't even know if I necessarily believe that, but I do believe that some of the psychedelics he created, since he created so many, might have sent people on some bad fucking trips. So this guy has an amazing story, man. And look, some people, of course, more religious, more conservative people who are anti-drug, they would probably call him an evil guy. But others like myself, I view him as a pioneer. It's nothing to scoff at, ecstasy or MDMA, and introducing that for medicinal reasons. In fact, I think it's an overwhelmingly positive thing. What people really need to get through their head that they don't in today's day and age is that drugs could be used for a variety of different reasons. Of course, there's a small percentage of the population that could become addicted to anything, and they could overdo it with anything. But a few bad apples shouldn't spoil the bunch. Everybody else should be able to use it either medicinally or they should be able to use it for recreational purposes. And just like, Percocet or Vicodin, that's used for killing pain, and it's in the heroin family and the morphine family. That's a hardcore narcotic. But just like that's out there and that's used for good, by the same token, marijuana can be used for good. It has a plethora of purposes to help with seizures, for example, and to help with glaucoma, of course, and to help with cancer, but also stuff like this. What we're finding now with new research is that MDMA, so ecstasy, it helps a lot with PTSD, people that have major depression. There's another study, psilocybin, so mushrooms help people who are fighting depression at the end of their life. It gives them it opens up this whole new pathway in their mind that they didn't know existed. So the whole mentality of being anti-drug, here's the bottom line. It's essentially anti-science. So we all need to, become more open-minded on this stuff and do research and, legalize these products and at the very least legalize the research because there's a lot of potential out there, and people like Alexander Shulgin, he was ahead of his time and he knew that when other people certainly did not.